The day the Griffins returned, air traffic control for LAX descended into sheer, unadulterated pandemonium. It started with a single garbled report of a bird like a lion with wings, Jesus Christ, then a chorus of panicked screams as more appeared, their colossal shadows blotting out the sun over the runways. One screeched, an unholy sound that vibrated through the very bones of the city and ripped the wing from a parked 747. That was just the beginning. In the week that followed, the world plunged into an absurdity no one could have predicted. Manticores hunted deer in the Rockies, their scorpion tails lashing with deadly venom. Kelpies lured swimmers to their doom in Scottish lochs. Their beautiful horse forms a deceptive trap. Chimeras, abominations of lion, goat, and serpent, stalked the Amazon, leaving a trail of terror and inexplicable ecological devastation. And then there was me, Dr. Aris Thorne, once a ridiculed cryptozoologist and ancient linguistics expert, now the reluctant head of the newly formed Department for Anomalous Zoological Reintegration, or DAZR. My office, once a dust-laden sanctuary of obscure texts, was now a war room plastered with satellite imagery, energy signatures, and a rapidly growing creature identification and threat assessment board. Another reading from the Siberian crater Eris. Lena Petrova, my brilliant lead xenobiologist, announced, her face pale under the harsh fluorescent lights. The energy signature, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. Pulsating, growing. I rubbed my tired eyes. Is it correlated with the new appearances? Every single one. And the older the creature, the stronger the pulse seems to be when it arrives. We just had a confirmed sighting of a minotaur in Crete. A literal minotaur. She ran a hand through her disheveled hair. This isn't random. It's like something is pulling them, or pushing them, through a tear. The media howled for answers. Governments teetered. The military was overwhelmed, their conventional weapons proving largely ineffective against creatures born of myth and magic. My job was to find out why they were here and how to stop whatever was coming next. My team, a motley crew of bewildered scientists, former special forces, and a handful of surprisingly pragmatic occultists, worked around the clock. We cross-referenced ancient texts with seismic data, folklore with quantum physics. The answer, if there was one, lay somewhere in that impossible intersection. The breakthrough came from an obscure Sumerian tablet I'd dismissed as a fanciful creation myth years ago. It spoke of a veil between worlds, sustained by a heart of ether and guarded by ancients. If the veil thinned, or the heart weakened, the worlds would bleed into one another, releasing dormant energies and forgotten beings. Simultaneously, Lena's team pinpointed a series of anomalous energy flux points across the globe, all connecting to a single ancient geographical anomaly, a remote, long-dormant volcano in Patagonia, known locally as Cerro del Velo, the Veil Mountain. The heart of ether, I whispered, the words from the tablet echoing in my mind. It has to be. My theory, some recent geological event, perhaps a series of deep earthquakes or unprecedented solar flares, had disturbed something ancient within the mountain. It wasn't just pulling creatures through, it was actively weakening the fabric of reality itself. The latest readings from Cerro del Velo aren't just strong, Eris, Lena said, her voice tight with fear. They're escalating exponentially. If the veil thins any further, the energy cascade, it could destabilize our entire world. Grid collapse, atmospheric disturbances, tectonic shifts. A global extinction event, but not from the creatures, from reality itself unraveling. That was the looming disaster. We assembled a small, specialized team, Myself, Lena, a heavily armed tactical squad led by a grim-faced Captain Hayes, and an indigenous guide named Kale, who understood the mountain's legends better than anyone. The ascent was brutal. The air crackled with unseen energy, making our teeth ache. Strange plant life, glowing with an ethereal luminescence, grew in impossible forms. The sounds of the modern world faded, replaced by phantom roars and whispers on the wind. At the summit, the crater wasn't empty. In its center, pulsating with an eerie blue-green light, was a colossal crystalline structure, humming with a power that shook the ground. It was the heart of ether, radiating raw, untamed magic. Around it, like moths to a deadly flame, were creatures. A gigantic rock, its feathered wings beating a gale. A pack of hellhounds, their eyes glowing like embers. And, most terrifyingly, a creature I'd only read about in fragmented scrolls, a grotesque, multi-limbed entity from the primordial void, slowly clawing its way through a shimmering tear in the air near the crystal. It was partially formed, its tendrils reaching, feeling for our reality. "That's not from a myth," Lena gasped, pointing at the emerging horror. "That's a different kind of problem. It's feeding on the instability," I realized, the Sumerian text flashing in my mind. "It's not just a tear, it's a wound." The tactical team opened fire on the hellhounds, their rounds sparking harmlessly off their hides. Captain Hayes yelled, "Useless! Focus fire on the rock." "No," I shouted, pulling out a modified energy scanner. "The crystal is the key. It's destabilizing." "Lena, remember the attenuator matrices from Project Chimera? Can we adapt them for this energy signature?" Lena, ever the genius, was already furiously typing on her reinforced tablet, sweat beading on her forehead. "The frequency is too high, Aris. It'll overload any human-made tech." "Then we don't tech it," I said, remembering another forgotten passage. "We sing it." "Kael, you spoke of the mountain having a song, a vibration that keeps the spirits at bay." Kael, eyes wide, nodded. "The song of the earth. My ancestors sang it to keep the mountain asleep." "It's not asleep, Kael. It's screaming," I said, pointing at the monstrous entity. "The crystal is resonating, calling. We need to create a counter-frequency." "Lena, rig the attenuator to broadcast Kael's vocal range." "Kael, I need you to sing." "Not a song. The song." He looked terrified but determined. "For my people." While Captain Hayes and his team fought a desperate delaying action against the manticores and hellhounds now swarming us, Lena worked like a demon, recalibrating the attenuator, tapping into the mountain's raw energy with a strange, salvaged crystal I'd brought from my office. I placed my hands on the heart of ether, feeling its raw, terrifying power. It hummed like a cosmic tuning fork, vibrating with chaotic, multidimensional frequencies. Kale took a deep breath and began to sing. It wasn't like any song I'd ever heard. It was guttural, melodic, ancient, a sound that seemed to both resonate with the earth and scrape against the very fabric of reality. The air around the crystal began to shimmer, the blue-green light flickering. The emerging void entity recoiled with an ear-splitting shriek. "It's working!" Lena yelled, her hands flying across the tablet. "The energy cascade is stabilizing. It's attenuating." But then, a massive griffin, its eyes blazing with primordial rage, dove from the sky, claws outstretched for Kale. Hayes's team opened fire, but it was too fast. Without thinking, I pushed Kale aside, throwing myself in front of the beast. The griffin's talons raked across my chest, tearing through my tactical vest. Pain exploded through me, but I held my ground, pushing more energy into the crystal, focusing all my will on Kale's song. Kale, shaken but resolute, intensified his song. The vibrations grew, harmonizing with the crystal. The shimmering tear in the air began to shrink, slowly at first, then rapidly. The void entity roared in frustration as it was pulled back, its tendrils vanishing. The other creatures, disoriented, began to retreat, some vanishing back through the fading tears, others simply turning and fleeing into the mountain's strange flora. Finally, with a soft hum and a flash of green light, the heart of Aether pulsed one last time and then dimmed, settling into a gentle, rhythmic thrum. The air cleared. The cracks in reality sealed. I collapsed, clutching my bleeding chest. Lena was beside me in an instant, applying pressure, her face a mask of concern. Captain Hayes, having successfully driven off the last of the hellhounds, knelt over me. "Are you insane, Thorn?" he asked, a hint of admiration in his voice. "You saved us, all of us." Weeks later, the world was still reeling, but a new, precarious stability had begun. The veil was stabilized, no longer threatening to unravel reality. The larger, more dangerous creatures had either vanished back through sealed rifts or were contained in heavily reinforced facilities, a new, daunting task for DAZR. Others, like a small flock of hippogriffs that had taken residence in the Scottish Highlands, were now simply there, a part of the new world. My chest was bandaged, my office still a mess, but the threat assessment board now had a new section: coexistence and integration strategies. The mystery behind their return was solved, an ancient artifact disturbed, a primal energy unleashed. The looming disaster had been averted, but the world was irrevocably changed. I looked out my window at the familiar city skyline, knowing that beneath the concrete and steel, a new reality hummed. My job was far from over. It was only just beginning, because while the veil was stable, it was still there. And somewhere, out in the vast, wild places of the world, a griffin might still fly, and a kelpie might still sing its treacherous song. And someday, someone would disturb something ancient again.